And merely to say that religion is harmless isn't good enough.
You said in a speech famously that I think a case can be made that faith is one of the world's great evils, comparable to the smallpox virus, but harder to eradicate.
I do think that, yes. Because what I'm talking about there is faith.
And yet, it's because of Christianity that we have hospitals. Just listen to the following.
The institution we call hospital, here is the account from church history. From the 4th century AD, St. Basil, a Christian disciple of Jesus, born an effective witness to God, who is love and charity, by building for the needy various institutions, virtually a city of mercy, called Basiliati, after him. This was the origin of modern hospitals.
Now Dawkins on the earth.
And so common sense equipped us to be very bad physicists, and so you have to emancipate yourself, just as I suppose our medieval ancestors had to emancipate themselves from the idea of a flat earth. I mean, they would have thought it incredible that here we all are in Australia upside down.
I read the Bible, specifically the book of Isaiah, and it says that the earth is round. Isaiah 40 verse 22. And because of that, I was inspired by God to set sail.
I often encounter people who say, but if you take religion away from people...
If there had been no religion, there would be no hospitals, because St. Basil, who started the institution that we call a hospital, was inspired by Jesus, because Jesus took care of the sick and needy.
Too soon to tell.
So just let me repeat the name of your book, because I know you'll like that, and of course gives me a thrill up my spine. God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. I've been saying that on television for 15 years.
And yet, how ironic that when Christopher Hitchens had a terminal disease, he had to go to a hospital, an institution created by Christianity, to get himself checked up for medical attention in order to save his life.
One of the questions that I know I used to love to get the audience's reaction to is, on our call-in show, is America the greatest country in the world?
Huh. Or as
How would you answer?
Spyro Agnew was supposed to have said, the greatest nation in the country. Something like Gore Vidal has a wonderful take on this. It's something to be proven rather than stated, it seems to me, something to be demonstrated rather than affirmed. But yes, I would say, in this sense, as someone who used to take pride in being called a revolutionary, maybe sometimes for good and sometimes for slightly callow reasons, but anyway, I'm not ashamed of it. But where's the Russian Revolution now? It's gone. Where's the Chinese Revolution now? It's mutated into something completely opposite, different to itself. The Cuban Revolution is moribund at the best. The French Revolution, well, it did have a great effect on the Enlightenment, but it was, and I wouldn't denigrate it, it's French. The American Revolution, the one that says, build your republic on individual rights, not group rights. Have a Bill of Rights that inscribes these and makes them available and legible to everybody. Separate the church from the state. Separate the executive, the judicial, and the political branch. Do all these things. It doesn't sound like much, but it's really a very revolutionary idea. There's hardly a country in the world that wouldn't benefit from adopting those principles.
And yet, Christopher Columbus set sail because he trusted in the Word of God and did not care about the opinions of men. And it's because he did set sail and they came to America, over 50 nations were created, including the United States. Why? Because Christopher Columbus trusted in the Word of God and not in the opinions of men.
Unless you don't believe, I don't know what they've been teaching you, unless you do not believe in the theory of what is conventionally called now the Big Bang.
Did you know that scientifically speaking, it is impossible for a random explosion to create life? The only way an explosion can create life is that it has to be controlled. And that means that if the Big Bang is a scientific fact, then the one that's controlling this Big Bang of our universe, that's the one whom we call God. And with that, we have established, scientifically speaking, the existence of God.